There's something about hearing the words burglary in progress that makes your stomach drop a little bit, because you know that somewhere right now, somebody's worst nightmare just kicked in the door. Today, we're gonna talk about a woman in Decatur, Alabama, who's home alone and found herself face to face with a violent criminal. And what she did next is the reason she's alive to tell the story. Let's start with the actual 911 scanner audio from that night.
Burglary in progress, Zone 2, 1224 22nd Avenue Southwest. The caller advised her house is being robbed. Caller was whispering, and could hear male screaming in the background. We just have an open line at this time. 1224 22nd Avenue Southwest. Caller now advised that she has shot that male. He is currently laying on the ground. Caller is advising she shot the male in the chest. He's currently not conscious, not breathing.
That right there isn't a movie. That's not a podcast. That's real life being relayed by a dispatcher as it unfolds in real time. You hear the urgency in the dispatcher's voice. They're describing a woman whispering that her house is being robbed, a man screaming in the background, and then moments later that she shot the intruder. You don't hear the woman herself, but you could picture what that must have looked like. A woman hiding in her home and then whispering for help, realizing the only person who could save her was herself. That's not drama, that's reality, and it's why this story hits so hard.
What you just heard there was scanner traffic audio from a home burglary turned deadly in Decatur Sunday night. Now the man who has been shot and killed is now identified, and Fox 54 has learned he has a previous criminal record. Bergen County Coroner Jeff Chun identified the man as 46-year-old Noir Brinkley. Police found Brinkley dead at the scene when they were called on the 1200 block of 22nd Avenue around 7 Sunday night. Brinkley died at the scene. State records show Brinkley had served time for several different offenses, including burglary and robbery, among other charges. The alleged shooter cooperated with investigators and was released with no charges at this time.
So let's break this down. This man, identified as 46-year-old Noir Brinkley, wasn't new to this. According to news reports, state records show Brinkley has served time for offenses including first-degree robbery, third-degree burglary, possession of a pistol by a convicted felon, and distribution of controlled substance. He was a career criminal, a man who'd already proven he was willing to take what wasn't his by force. And on that night, he picked the wrong house, because what he didn't know was that the woman inside had already made a decision long before he ever tried to break in. That decision that her life was worth defending. Now imagine that moment. You're at home, maybe you're watching TV, maybe you're cooking dinner, and you hear glass break. You call 911 and you're whispering, and somewhere inside your body, your instincts are screaming, move, do something. And this is where the firearm changes everything. Without it, she's smaller, she's weaker, and cornered in her own home against a man who's already lived his life breaking into places like this. With it, the entire balance of power shifts in an instant. That gun didn't make her violent. It made her equal. That's the part that the anti-gunners never seem to understand. They see the gun as some symbol of aggression. I see it as a force multiplier for someone who refuses to be a victim. And here's the hard truth no one wants to admit. Even after doing everything right, calling 911, staying on the line, defending herself, this woman still has to live with what happened. She has to walk past the spot where he fell. She has to replay the sound of that shot, probably 100 times in her head. And she has to wait, because as news reports report, the incident remains under investigation and will be referred to the Morgan County District Attorney's Office for grand jury consideration. So now she has to process not only the trauma of surviving an attack, but the anxiety of being investigated for doing so. That's the kind of pressure most people can't even imagine, but people actually do experience. And that's exactly why I'm such a strong believer in being prepared, not just for the fight itself, but for what comes after the fight. That's why USCCA is the sponsor of today's video. I believe the USCCA is the most comprehensive self-defense membership out there, period. Because defending your life doesn't end when the threat is down. That's when the legal fight begins. With USCCA, you're not just getting financial and legal protection, you're also getting real training, situational awareness, conflict avoidance, use of force law, and the kind of education that helps you make the right decision under pressure. They teach you how to think before, during, and after a defensive encounter. They break down the laws of your state so you know exactly where that invisible line is between self-defense and criminal charges. Because carrying a gun in America today isn't just a right, it's a legal minefield. And if you step on the wrong one, even accidentally, your entire life can change overnight. And that's why I choose USCCA. And look, even if you decide USCCA isn't for you, I still think you should get something. Get some kind of legal protection and training, because going without it is like skydiving without a parachute. Maybe you'll be fine until you're not. I'm gonna put a link in the description section of this video so you can check out a USCCA membership. So let's be real. This woman didn't want to kill anyone. She wanted to live. She didn't plan to pull the trigger, but when the moment came, she had no choice. And because she had the means, she survived. That's what self-defense really is. It's not about heroism. It's about survival. It's about a mother, a daughter, a woman refusing to become a headline. And if that makes people uncomfortable, good. It should. Because comfort is what evil thrives on. We need more people ready to defend their lives, their families, and their homes, and fewer criminals confident they can walk through your door without consequences. That's what the Second Amendment is about. It's not about bravado, it's about balance. Because sometimes the only thing that stands between a criminal and a victim is a firearm in the hands of a good person who knows how to use it. One thing's for certain and two things are for sure. Politicians and tech giants don't want gun content to be recommended to you. And we're all fighting this culture war together. Now, you can help do your part by liking, commenting, subscribing to the channel, but most importantly, sharing this video with at least one person. Together, we can stop the suppression of our 2A rights. And don't forget to click the link in the description section of this video for the products that I mentioned in this video.